So about a month ago, I had the pleasure of attending the Meta Performance Summit in New York City, and it was quite an interesting event because they talked a lot about some of the latest products, especially around ASC campaigns, advantage shopping campaigns, and I thought I wanted to take a little bit of time to share some of those updates that came out of that event. Now, one thing that we know is that ASC campaigns, which were released last year in Q4 in 2022, started to see really great performance, and a lot of advertisers, especially direct-to-consumer advertisers, started to adopt this type of campaign format, not just because it simplified the campaign building process, but also because there was capabilities within ASC that actually allowed your campaign to benefit from automation in a way that helped you drive better ROAS and CPA. Now, one of the things that I've learned now after spending a couple of $1 million with campaigns that are using ASC is that, number one, and they talked about this at the conference, was that it can handle more creative than most campaigns. Traditionally, Facebook advertisers, and Facebook has told us that the magic number is around 5 to 6 pieces of creative per audience or per campaign. Now, what we've been learning is that ASC campaigns can handle a lot more creative. In fact, one of the advertisers that I currently work with, we ran a 3-cell study where we put 5 ads in one campaign cell, then we put 19, then we put 47. And the campaign cells that had 19 and 47 actually ended up performing better. And these are campaigns that were spending, several $1,000s a day. So they were being pushed to scale. And so our understanding from what Meta has told us is that ASC campaigns can use AI to inform targeting, leveraging insights contextually from the creative in a way that other manual campaigns cannot. So again, in layman's terms, what this means is that the technology is taking a look at the ad and trying to understand who might this be for, and it could then do a better job of trying to find those audiences. Now, obviously, there is some of these targeting capabilities that are built into broad targeting campaigns, but not at the level of what ASC can do. And that's what I've been told working closely with Meta reps. So we know that ASC can handle more creative and it could do a better job with it. Now, the second thing that's important to note is that a lot of people are trying to figure out, should you only be using advantage shopping campaigns for your business? Obviously, if you've been running ads for a while before we had ASC, you're probably doing interest, lookalike, maybe broad targeting, and of course, custom audiences, mainly retargeting. Now, what I found with some of the advertisers I've been working with is that it is a net positive to have at least the minimum 3 tactics running at the same time. ASC, broad targeting with a manual campaign, and lookalike targeting with a manual campaign. Now, I've ran multiple tests where I see that having a mix of these tactics is a net positive. What Facebook and Meta tells us is that you want at least a minimum of 30% of your budget going into ASC, but then that over time you should be testing to see how far you can push that ASC campaign. And eventually you want to figure out what's the optimal mix between your ASC campaign budget, your broad targeting, your lookalike, and whatever other tactics you might be using within your campaign. So we know ASC is working. We know it can handle more creative, but we know that the previous targeting tactics that advertisers on Meta relied on still do work, and you should still be using them, or at a minimum, testing to figure out what's the right mix of budget. Now, the third thing I want to tell you is that at this conference, Meta was telling us some advanced ways that we can think about using advantage shopping campaigns as a tactic. So most advertisers are going to just create one ASC campaign, and that might not work for everybody. Let me explain. Let's say, for example, you have multiple audiences that you're selling products to. Let's say, if you're a clothing manufacturer or a D2C business, you might have clothing that, might be gender neutral, but you might also have stuff that might be for a specific gender. So one opportunity there would be to create an ASC campaign to target products for one gender versus another versus, if you have clothing that is not gender specific. Another example of this is, if you have different price ranges, if you have, let's say, jewelry that you're selling and you have products like under 500, but then you have some really expensive pieces like over 5,000, that could be a completely different audience. So in that case, you might benefit from experimenting having a separate ASC campaign for low ticket and then higher ticket items. Another way to think about this as well is that if you do a lot of promotions, let's say you're a retailer and on a monthly basis, let's say maybe at the end of the month, you have some kind of special deal for a week. You might want to create a separate ASC campaign for that, because the audiences that are going to buy from you on a business as usual or evergreen campaign basis might not be the same price sensitive, promotion sensitive audience that's going to really react to your ads when they see that kind of messaging. So in that situation, you don't want to confuse the campaign. You might want to have one separate BAU campaign that's on most of the month, and then a separate one that you switch on and power into when you have a special promo. So ASC continues to evolve. I'm going to keep tracking some of the updates that are happening, but hopefully some of these insights do help you. Make sure to at least be putting 30% of your budget into ASC and seeing how far that could scale. Also, if you are using ASC and your catalog, as in you're creating ads directly from the catalog, make sure that you have at least a 90% match rate across all of your events. That's going to be very critical, because the platform uses those signals to understand the difference with the products, their categories, their pricing, and then to go and find those target audiences. So anyways, hope this video has been useful. And by the way, if you're a D2C brand spending at least $50,000 a month and are struggling and are looking to scale more profitably, feel free to reach out. I'm going to have a link below in the description and we could chat there. And until the next video, peace.